Happy new moon, happy new month. I hope your new lunar month is off to an absolutely amazing start. I'm in a particularly good mood today because I went back on my low carb diet and I just feel amazing. I've been bulking, trying to put on some muscle, and all of the carbs required to make that happen it sucks. It's definitely not comfortable, but I have so much energy. Hopefully I will not be slurring my words or having difficulty speaking, making sense of life in general right now. So very excited about that. Plus, and this is a little bit on the backstory, I'm not going to bore you with it, but I probably will make a video about it at some point. About a year ago, if you don't know, I took a hiatus from my YouTube videos and from a lot of my work. I was on the board of directors for a tech company, and that was a disaster, namely because the product that we were all told existed did not exist. No, I did not work for Elizabeth Holmes or their company or anything. It was a similar situation. Definitely not that company though. I was working for another crazy, I'm going to say it, yes. Can we say sociopath, psychopath? Possibly somewhere in there I was working for. I did not know right away. Like you don't. With most psychopaths, sociopaths, you don't know. Sometimes you can tell. But anyways, I had to go back and review some of the old meetings that we had. They are hilarious in retrospect. Definitely not a great situation while it was happening, but it was cracking me up. So I'm in a pretty good mood. I'm going to do a 1 week right now, but I'm also going to touch on the month overall. If you're new to this, we're going to be doing a sidereal forecast for this coming month, which I believe goes to the 16th of August, if memory serves. But the week that we're going to be looking at is from technically yesterday, the 17th to the 23rd. But this program is called Stellarium. You can download it for free today, right now at stellarium.org. I highly recommend that you do if you have any interest in astronomy, astrology, or just life in general. It'll definitely help you tune into what's actually going on in the cosmos at any given time. If you practice or are familiar with tropical astrology, one of the things you will notice is that where the planets are actually at in the constellations is completely different than what tropical astrology is telling you where they're at. It's off by like 23 degrees. I will put a link to the video that kind of explains that if you want to check that out. Stellarium does have a web application that you can look at too. I don't like it quite as much, but obviously can't go into as much detail with it. So clearly it's not really suiting my needs, but definitely download this program and go in and check these things out for yourself. We're starting with the Giza Plateau here as far as our lat long goes, namely because it's fantastic. It's a nice universal point. We can all come together in our agreement that the pyramids are awesome. So I just like to start here. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go ahead, bring out some of these constellations. I do have this set as yesterday, so the 17th. This will post on the 18th, so we're going to backdate it a little bit. Not that it matters too much, but this is at 12 o'clock. Let me go ahead and get rid of the horizon too, so we can bring some of these out. Now, for any type of short-term forecast, especially a 1 month forecast, but also just generally daily horoscope, we're going to look at the moon. Namely because the sun moves very slowly compared to the moon. The moon is just whipping around the sky very quickly every 29 to 30-ish days. So we're going to pay closest attention to this. As you can see, over a 24-hour period, the moon's going from right here to all the way over here. The moon's moving fast, moves very quickly. But let's back it up. Technically, the moon was new right around 11 o'clock last night, Egyptian Standard Time. And we're going to call this new moon being right here in Gemini. Now, we have a little bit of overlap, but very close to Pollux. So this is pretty much a Gemini new moon. What does this mean? Now, this is for everybody. Obviously, some people are going to experience more or less of this depending on what their individual natal chart looks like. If you have any questions about that, my contact information will be in the video description. But this is going to intensify everyone's empathic ability. This constellation right here is the most empathic of all of the constellations. This will open your heart. This will open your higher emotions, your ability to feel mostly love. Now, can this go really dark and run into the downside of that, which would be like despair? Yeah, it can, depending on what else is going on. But generally speaking, this is more so just going to affect you on the empathic side of things. I will tell you that this month, overall, the focus should be self-love, self-nurturing, self-healing, selflessness, we will say also. Is this really the time to be throwing pouring all of your energy and dedication into other people? To an extent, yes, but there must be a balance here. So when we start doing more with, where are we at here? See if I can drag you along. When we have a lot going on in Capricorn, this is a much better time to pour energy out of you. But in this case, we really want, I don't want to say be selfish because that has a lot of negative connotation, but definitely love and nurture yourself. As you love and nurture yourself, you will in turn be loving and nurturing others. You are the universe. So everything you experience personally, you are going to be putting that out. You're generating that. So definitely this is a good time to, again, not be selfish, but self-love and nurture. Okay. I think I beat the dead horse. I think you got it here. I will also say though, if we're looking at this little snapshot, what else is going on here? Be prepared with this Mercury in Cancer. Be prepared for a lot of your brain's going to be a little bit busier than normal. If you meditate, you may find it a little harder to meditate this month. If you don't meditate, please start meditating. There's absolutely no reason that you can't carve out 20 minutes a day, 3 days a week, maybe a little less time with television, maybe a little less time scrolling through your social media profiles. I'm sure you can scrape out the 20 minutes 3 times a week. If you think that you cannot do that, stop what you're doing. Don't watch this video. Turn the video off and go and just take this time to meditate. Try your best. We'll also say, if you hate meditating, if you are not on board, you've tried it, it's not built into your day, you are meditating in a way that is not right for you. There are many ways to meditate. And I'm telling you, if you are not in love with it, it's because you're not doing what works for you and you must find another way. If you need help trying to figure out what that way is, please contact me either through my email address, which again, my contact information is on the video description. Please post it in the comments. I am happy to give you this information on how you can learn to meditate. It is one of the most powerful things in life that you can do. If you are able to quiet your mind, you will find that this month you are very likely to have some very deep, profound, transcendental experiences. With this Mercury in Cancer, you have access to the entire universe, but your waking thoughts just might be a little bit busier than normal. Let's see here. Not a great placement this month. It's just not. As far as Mars and Venus are concerned, right here, pretty conjunct, basically on both sides of Regulus. First of all, Mars and Venus have been tagging along with each other for a little while. During that time, we tend to experience more of, and this is globally, we tend to get much more of the aggressive energies coming out. Mars was Nergal, he was the god of war. Venus was Inanna or Ishtar, and she also was the goddess of war. Now, they were gods of other things too, but especially in later times, they really took on some of those warlike traits, and they are, depending on what else is going on, they can be extremely aggressive, very sensitive. So going back to this Gemini moon that we were talking about, this new moon in Gemini, this type of sensitivity, because of this placement over here, is going to open us up for getting our feelings hurt. We must be very careful. One of the lessons from Mars in mythology, if you've ever read which I'm sure you haven't. I mean, of the couple hundred people who are going to watch this, I'm sure you probably haven't read it, but the Epic of Era, who was the Babylonian version of Nergal, and he basically gets talked into destroying the world, or large portion of the world, to go on the warpath. The 7 Sabiti, the gods embodied in the constellation of the Pleiades. Yes, the article is on its way. I promise I will get it to you, so be sure to subscribe and do the notifications and whatnot. You are aware when this comes out. I'm still working on it. It's very long. There's a lot of information in it. But anyway, they basically remind him of how great it is to go out and murder and kill and do damage, cause destruction and chaos. They also remind him that pretty much just women and children and old men, old feeble men, like to sit home and not go to war. So they're just going to sit home. They're going to get fat. They're going to lisp. That's literally one of the things that they say. And they are going to eat bread and not have a great time slaughtering people. So this works. This worked on Nergal, and he basically played right into their hands. The lesson in here is to not allow other people to feed your insecurity and to play on those insecurities. And this close proximity to Venus can really open up the door to allow people or things or circumstances to really go in deep and have a dangerous influence on you if you are vulnerable to those things. If you are vulnerable to those things, please start the meditation. Stop what you're doing, do the meditation. On a global scale, this star, Regulus, was the breast of the lion. Clearly, still looks like the breast of the lion, but it was also Inanna or for Ishtar. So Inanna was the Sumerian and Ishtar was the Babylonian version. This conjunction with Venus just expands it all. It's like Venus is going right home. Okay. She's right there, right in her sacred place with Mars, which Mars also has a connection to this line and lines in particular. This is a dangerous time. I got bad news for everybody on planet Earth. As you can see here, Venus is going retrograde and she's going to be hovering. Well, technically she's going to be hovering. She's going to be swinging back over here in a second, but just going day by day. She technically is swinging back out of there, but then she's going to come back and be conjunct with Regulus again right around October 10th. And she's going to be making her way through this constellation right through November. Now, obviously, while she's in Leo, this is when this energy is going to be the most intense. However, because her movement back into Cancer is retrograde, now I will say there's nothing inherently negative about retrogrades, but what it will do is it's going to pull this Leo energy back with her. So technically, even though she's retrograde, she's still in Leo this entire time. We're still going to be in the danger zone here. So I'm going back and I'm taking you with me on a magical adventure through the sky. Isn't this so much fun? Definitely download Stellarium. Did I mention it's free? It's definitely free. Mars, fortunately, is not going to be retrograde during the same time. We should be out of the water as far as that's concerned right around the middle of August. So we have another month in particular. This next month is very precarious. Is that the word that I want to use? This is a very dangerous time. How do we all navigate this as individuals? Well, the best I can tell you based on all of this is to really use the energy here that is given to us by this new moon in Gemini. We need to be receptive. We need to be open. We need to be a little bit vulnerable. We don't want to shut other people out in our communications, but this is a time to open ourselves to love and being nurtured, whether that is from the outside or through oneself as an individual. As far as geopolitics go, this means that we need to come up with a plan. We need some diplomatic solutions to the current situation, and we need them immediately. It has to get done this month. Now, is it going to get done this month? Possibly. We do have opportunities, especially with this Jupiter over here in the head of Cetus or over here in Aries, this portion of the sky, essentially, for some new beginnings. We have space here for some leaders to come in and make some deals, we'll say. And it needs to be done. Saturn, still in Aquarius, going to be in Aquarius for a while. Did I tell you how long it's going to be in Aquarius? We got another year for this Saturn and Aquarius energy. But again, this is a major time of innovation. Let me back up. I'm going to say probably since 2022, this would have been a very big shift as far as tech goes, which we know that's definitely happening. As a matter of fact, over the last couple of months, and we'll notice this more into the next few months, the emerging AI is, I hate to say, out of control. I mean, out of control in a positive way if you are a developer, but on the brink of becoming out of control for the rest of humanity. So it's a very interesting time in human history. While Jupiter is in Cetus, this is a very powerful time if you have any type of soul connection that you are currently in a relationship with, possibly past relationships or future relationships, any twin flame relationships out there in particular, but really strong soulmate relationships come into focus. They are likely going through some sort of cyclical new beginning here with Jupiter's presence. Be prepared for weirdness. I don't know how else to say that. And this has probably been going on since, we'll say, probably mid-April to, let's see here. Yeah, we're going to put it into mid-April of next year. So this is a long process, just so you guys know. If you're not following along in the sky on a regular basis, this is what's going on. Now that we have covered the current lunar month, let's take a look at the next few days until we'll go till the 23rd. Why not? 23rd, 24th, we'll go that far. And we again are using the moon because the moon's activating things in our lives on a moment-to-moment basis. On the 18th, so that's today, we are moving into Cancer, and this is a beautiful time for reflection to analyze your past, your present, and decide what you want to do in the future. I do think that periodically this is something we should all be doing at least once a month. Get your bearings. If you're a list maker, it's a good time to go and reassess your goals. And of course, with Mercury in the same constellation, it's going to intensify some of your analytical ability. Now, when the moon is conjunct here with Mercury, this is probably, and again, it's going to depend on your natal chart, how much this is going to affect you. If you are in your head most of the day, that's probably why. This is probably doing it. If you are prone to stress, if you have a lot going on and you are just naturally stressed because you're not doing your meditation, this can absolutely result in increased stress levels. So try to take it easy. Rest. rest, relax, maybe step away from your cognitive pursuits. Okay. Just take a break. Do some meditation. It's a great time. Are you getting tired of hearing it yet? If you are, it's because you're not doing meditation and you have a guilty conscience. By the way, if you do, I'm going to let it go here in just a second. But if you do meditate, do me a favor, actually do everybody else a favor who potentially might look at the comments and put any insight about your meditation into the comments for those who come across this video. Namely because what I have learned about myself is that I do a terrible job of explaining why meditation is so powerful. So maybe there is some insight or some actual meditations or some resources that you can provide that will be helpful to other people that come across this video. Not that there will be many. I'm just being honest with you. I don't have any social media outside of YouTube, and I'm going to keep it that way. Man, I actually took like a couple of years off. All right. So now on the, let's see here. Let's just go hour by hour. On the 20th. So again, we're coming out of this potentially stressful state, and we are moving into Leo, which is just lit up, activated with this conjunction with Regulus on both sides, and the conjunction, I'm going to call it a conjunction between Mars and Venus in here. Personally, on an individual level, this can be a fun, exciting time, a time full of life and joy and vitality and excitement. If you're going on vacations, probably be one of those vacations that you will never forget. If you are meeting people during this time romantically, you are much more likely to make some very intense, long-lasting connections with these people. Could you be finding a twin flame during this period? Yeah, that's a very real possibility. The problem is that as far as the world at large is concerned, in some of the wars and conflicts and tensions that are going on, this moon's presence here is going to wake these up and just make this just outrageously intense. Okay. If you don't follow geopolitics in any level, good for you, because that's probably a stress that you don't need. But this is precarious. Let me back up because I just jumped ahead. So as you can see, the moon is sailing through right between these planets. Very intense. If you don't journal and see what's going on for you personally as an individual on especially the 20th, 21st, and 22nd. This will tell you a lot about you as an individual and how these plants are affecting you. So it's a good time if you're into doing research and whatnot. Expect a lot of sensitivity. Now, this is some of the ego sensitivity that we talked about, especially on the 21st. We're going to have this conjunction with Mars and the moon. Again, worth paying attention to while the moon is in Leo, which is going to run us right until midday Egyptian Standard Time on the 22nd. Over the next few days, I don't know exactly what's going to be happening, but something big is happening this week. Something that will have a lasting impact on the world in general. And then on the 20th, I'm going to go a little bit faster here. As you can see, from the 22nd through a few days here, the moon is going to be moving through Virgo, and it's going to be conjunct with Spica on the 25th. This is fantastic for any type of wealth generation. If you were waiting on a day to maybe make some investments, start a new business, this would probably be a fantastic time to do it. And then below Spica, we're really getting into some of this Libra energy, a lot of overlap, and then we're going to come back to this. But during this time, it's a little bit more social. But let me back up real quick, because at the same time these things are going on, I'm going to go back day by day here real quick. We still have all of this intensity over here in Leo. As Mercury approaches Regulus, at the same time all of this is happening, this increases the overthinking. It increases the likelihood that we are, as individuals and as a species, as governments, as leaders, as citizens, to way overthink some things, which can get us into very serious trouble. Okay, so again, we want to be relaxed. We want to be open and attentive. Fortunately, Mercury does bring a lot of listening and eating of information. So there's probably going to be some big revelations around this time. And again, these are going to be much more noticeable on a global scale. You as an individual, this could actually be very positive. Now there is, and we see this especially in Babylonian astrology, when things were good for the king and the nation, they were usually bad for the people. When they were bad for the king and the nation, they were usually good for the people. So this is not necessarily going to be as trying for you, as stressful. As a matter of fact, this can be really good. This can bring us some nice mind-heart balance, although it's probably going to be a little bit more emotional, lower emotion, pain, pleasure, humor, fun, excitement. Definitely a good opportunity for these in here. Just going to back up. Mercury's moving into Leo probably right around the 22nd. I will tell you, while Mercury is in Leo, and this is going to go for a while, the information you do receive, the listening you are doing, the learning, yeah, that's pretty intense, especially on the 28th. Your personal bias are much more likely to be involved in your thought process. So again, lots of taking a step back. I don't know how else to explain it other than patient. Patience is not just a virtue, but a necessity for living a happy, peaceful life. Now, this is into August. Obviously, we're going to get another conjunction with Moon, Mars, and Mercury, but fortunately, by that point, we're already going to be moving into Virgo. Now, Virgo was, well, it was two different constellations, the furrow and the front. The goddesses that they represented, when you get right down to it, they're basically versions of Inanna or Ishtar, which again was the goddess of war, but also fertility, sexuality, domestic animals, crops. So a lot of good stuff. Definitely a lot calmer than over here in her battle mount, which is represented by the constellation of Leo. So still, yeah, still some of this Mars can definitely activate a lot of the sensitivity. We'll definitely come back to this. We will cover this at a later date, but we're not fully out of the woods. Can we tell when we're going to be out of the woods? Let me take a look here. Let's see if I can figure this out. Now, keep in mind, I can't speak for what's going on all over the world. I only know, and I do follow geopolitics, I only know what's going on in a very general sense. So whatever country you're in, whatever you're experiencing, these might be a little bit different. Clearly, there are a lot of countries that are doing very well and are moving in the right direction. Now, that's probably because of what that country has going on with their chart. If you don't know, I just did a solar return for the United States just the other day. I will put a link up here so you can check that out if you want to. What I have not done, because it is far too time consuming and I just don't care that much, is to compare the day-to-day transits based on the United States' chart. I just don't have time for that. But that is something that could be done to see exactly what's happening. Same thing with some of these other countries involved in like the bigger conflicts that are going on right now. But let me see here. Can I get a general time of when things are going to be less stressful, less strenuous here? Let's see. 2025. Oh, that looks rough. Oh, it looks rough, you guys. It looks rough. 2027. Yeah, man. When are we going to be out of the water here? Probably, yes. Go back. Just make sure I'm not imagining things. Everything right now. Moving into Leo. I'm just going to stand here quietly. You guys can see what's going on. You can see this is into August. Why am I talking so quietly? I definitely think that will make a big difference once Venus finally makes her way through Virgo. Now we have a whole different set of potential issues when we move into Scorpio. Not that Scorpio is bad, but we can wake up some of that aggressive energy in here. Plus, as you can see, Venus and Mars, they are just having so much fun hanging out with each other well into 2024, and a lot going on February 2024. This looks pretty intense. Yes. All right, we're going to be moving on. Oh, yeah, that looks rough. May of next year, definitely. Definitely not great, you guys. It's not looking great. All right. So enjoy these peaceful times, these relatively peaceful times, because we got a lot more coming at us. Everybody thinks, oh, I didn't think it could get much worse. Never think that. Never, ever think that. That's definitely a little bit better. There may be a bit of a lull, maybe late 2024. However, it seems to pick back up. Yeah, that could be good or bad. Yeah, that's going to be 2025. Things get rough again. So there's definitely some sort of, I don't want to call it a lull, but it seems like things start to get better late 2025 into 2026. It's just the intensity blows up again. I hope that wasn't an unintentional pun. Yeah, let's see here. Again, mid 2026. Well, there are moments. We'll say there are moments in the coming years that are definitely dangerous. This next year is particularly. However, when we get into actually we'll say, yeah, mid-October 2026, this Jupiter-Mars conjunction in Leo can definitely do some damage, especially while the sun is in Scorpio. There are a lot of moving parts here. Yep. And they're going to swing back around. But here's what I'll say, and this is way into the future. So worrying about it is probably not going to do anybody any good. It never really does anybody any good. Worrying is not good. But whatever we're not solving this year, we're going to have to swing back around and fix it. It's going to come full circle in 2026, 2027. So let's hope that we get this figured out here, especially in the next couple of months, but over the next year is when the balance is going to shift for better or worse. Fingers crossed. All right. Well, I guess that's pretty much everything. A little bleak, didn't mean for it to be. By the way, your personal chart, the way these things affect you, completely different. We have to just in any type of forecast like this, it has to be very general. It has to encompass 8 billion people. Obviously, you're an individual and these things affect you differently. So don't panic. A lot of these things are actually really good on a one-on-one level. I think that's everything. Okay. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next week.